Welcome to NC Political Tea, the home for conservative truth with a side of Southern charm. From the hollers of the Blue Ridge Mountains to the sandy shores of the Outer Banks, we've got our finger on the pulse of every political heartbeat in the Tar Heel State. So grab a sweet tea, kick back, and let's dive deep into the 2024 election madness.
And madness it is. Hello, everyone. So I hope you guys are doing great. We're going to get you caught up with all of the election activity that's going on. We're getting a bunch of calls and we've got a lot of answers for you. But first of all, I just wanted to let you know, thank you. I got a lot of notes yesterday and a lot of phone calls actually. And thank you very much for all of your well wishes and remembrance of October 7th. Which was a year ago yesterday. And you probably saw, memorials all over the country, the world, really. That was the worst terror attack on the soil of Israel since its founding and akin to the Second Holocaust. So it doesn't only affect Jews worldwide, it obviously affects Christians and Muslims, all perished in a despicable act of terror. You've seen on campuses all over, Columbia most notable yesterday. There's been a lot of lawlessness, a lot of violence, even death threats. And so I went down to cover UNC, and I really have to give a shout out. They had early in the day a remembrance of those who were lost on October 7th and a celebration of love for America. Very much so love for America and a love for all people, all peace-loving people. And I just wanted to show you right quick a tale of two rallies. Okay. But before I do that, I'm going to bring on a special guest who is there. And it's actually one of the UNC frat boys that did such a great job of defending Old Glory and really defending Western civilization on a day back, I believe it was April 30th. David McCrudden. Hey, David, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great. It was nice to see you guys yesterday. And I could tell that your new chancellor, Lee Roberts, was taking no chances yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I've been speaking with the police for weeks planning this event. And the chancellor really knows that after what happened earlier this semester and last year with the flag, that he's not going to let any of it happen again. And I'm glad that yesterday he brought out the forces, over 70 police officers, to ensure the safety and of students in our event and to support free speech. It's amazing to see that happen.
Well, absolutely. And I want to point out what a great job it was, but I also want to show the audience, this is very remarkable. A tale of two acts of free speech on the same campus on the same day. So this is on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill. And as you can see, there's a display here for an Israeli flag for every victim of Islamofascio terrorism from Hamas terrorists. And you will see this is the Wilson Library on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill, where many protests have happened. Look at the amount of police protection and barriers. They had to put up extensive steel barriers, and there's probably on the order of 25 police here. I'm glad they're here, but the mere fact that we have to have this level of protection for free speech is abhorrent, especially on state property, especially on the campus of our crown jewel, UNC. I'm not going to show them, but I will show this. These are the stairs, and you'll see the library stairs have a blockade there. So they're even blocked off for students, anyone who wants to come out here and celebrate. You'll see right over here that this is beautiful right here. This is the uniting of Americans and Israelis against terrorism. This is something we should all be in favor of. But again, look at the extensive police barriers here today. You cannot have free speech out here. This should not be this way. Okay, and so that was that. I want to show you guys the contrast because I stayed until 6. I want you to know, everyone, I'm so down with my art. David, you can attest to this. I spray painted my hair brown I had on old glasses, a Ren and Stimpy t-shirt. Actually, I had a Harvard t-shirt on. I was totally undercover. And when I got to the Hamas protest, it literally took them 2 minutes to recognize me. I'm very angry.
You're very recognizable, unfortunately. So am I. They know me very well at this point. So.
I mean, it was what it was. And I will say, these guys are out of their mind lunatics, and they're wrong, but they were respectful because they know if they FO, they will find out. Or FA. Okay, so I'm going to show you the contrast. So you will see no police officer here. 200 people out here. There was no police officer at all whatsoever. You know why?
It was a complete failure by the university. They were completely unprepared. They weren't expecting that much like vandalism and that much just to get so out of control so fast.
Oh, you're talking about the other one. You're talking about okay.
The photo you just showed with the flag being taken down.
The flag one, but the one I showed last night, David, this is incredible. This is what we're looking at here. Let me put this up. This was the protest from last night. There was no police there. To your point, there didn't need to be any police there because we don't go around and tear shit up, right? We have our free speech. We are peaceful, civilized people. And
the police were there to protect us from the Students for Justice in Palestine, because if there aren't police, those students, those outside organizers with socialist groups will take every opportunity they have to deface the university and vandalize campus if they have the opportunity to, with no repercussions.
Well, that's right. And there's a reason for that, because when you tolerate lawlessness, that's what you're going to get. If you don't, as a society or any organization, if you don't spend your force on controlling lawlessness, you're going to get savagery. David, I want to ask you if you've ever heard of this lady.
I don't believe so.
Exactly right. Because she's the chancellor at Dartmouth, and she laid down the gauntlet and said, anyone who breaks the law and protests will be arrested and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. They had 1 or 2 protests. And what do you know? The appetite to protest and break the law has dissipated.
Yeah, I have some friends at Dartmouth, and I've only heard good things about what their university has done with all of the craziness compared to other campuses. And when the administration really takes a stand, like our new chancellor has, Lee Roberts, it brings a lot of order and dignity to the campus environment.
Well, and then this is a novel idea. Campuses become what they're supposed to be, places of learning and civil discourse. Even though you dramatically disagree on the issues, you have civil discourse. By the way, this is what taxpayers are paying for. So, and I just want to give a shout out because I was in contact with Dave Bolak, who's of course running for Republican treasurer. Yes, wait a minute. Sorry,
State
Dave.
Auditor.
Thank you. Running for auditor, Marty Kotis. I spoke with both of them extensively yesterday, told them what was going on, and they've been absolutely great. And then John Pryor has been great. I mean, they've been stalwart on the trustees, and your new chancellor, Lee Roberts. I think at this point, we finally see we've got to have some law and order here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So the reason I'm having you on, and this is an exciting thing. I'm going to get this up on the screen. You are connected with this effort, this new effort from Elon Musk to get people to sign up a petition for free speech and a Second Amendment. Tell me about this.
So I'm not involved with it, but I got word very early on, and some of my other friends on campus have as well. Elon Musk has really said this election cycle that he's a billionaire. He has a lot of money, and he knows how important this election is. And he's giving out $47 as a referral bonus to each voter in a swing state. You get to sign a petition in favor of free speech and the right to bear arms, which is very simple. It shouldn't be controversial, but it has been. It's become this controversial issue for no reason, and is really just a huge get out the vote issue, because as soon as I heard about this, I sent it to my siblings, I sent it to my parents, my grandparents, my uncles and aunts, and they all get this little reminder like, hey, this election is important. You need to vote. Here's how you register to vote. And it helps me out because you get $47, and I sent it out to a good amount of people. You get a couple hundred. I have a friend that got his entire fraternity to sign it, and so he's going to get a couple thousand from Elon Musk. And it's just a huge way of Elon Musk just saying, like, if you are a normal person who supports normal issues, free speech and the right to bear arms, I'm going to give some back to you and share with you and your community.
Well, we're going to support you. We're going to have a big effort out to support you. But I'm going to have Margot on here too, because I want to get this in. You are so inspirational, because a lot of people are not really interfacing with young people on campus, and they think, this is a lost generation. And to hear a young man talk about protecting the First Amendment and the Second Amendment, Margot, this is exciting. It gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope. And David, I want to thank you for recognizing at such a young age, and I don't mean to put you in that position, how important it is for us to foster free speech, freedom of religion, and the right to bear arms. But really, the truth is to be good Americans. There's no reason why we shouldn't take full advantage of the rights we're given. And I'm very proud of you as a North Carolinian. And I'm very proud of you for what you did on campus as well. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for those kind words. It's really like the least I can do when you see what's happening on campus in this country. I don't even have to think about it. It's just something that needs to be done, and I'm here to do it.
Well, so talk about campus for a minute. Is there tension all the time? Is it isolated? What is the tension like on campus during the semester?
And there's always politics on this campus. It's a hot spot in North Carolina for all of the protests, all of the outside groups. I don't know where they get their funding from, but there's different socialist organizers that have paid organizers from all across America, from Baltimore, from Chicago, from Detroit. I don't know why they all come to UNC, but they're getting paid to come here and convince students that they need to rise up for crazy issues like we saw with them taking down the flag. There's always tension with the professors, with a bit better now with the administration, since they're taking a stand against all of the craziness, but there's always the professors that are espousing crazy views and not allowing conservative students to speak their opinions in classes.
So that really happens. Wow. So one more question. Do kids wear masks to class?
No, very few do.
I mean, that's why I'm asking because, they'll wear them to a protest because they're very sick, But
yeah, they say it's for health safety, but they're outside. There's airflow, and then they go to class and they're not wearing one when it's in a.
Exactly.
This campus is more than 200 years old. There's not good airflow in the building, so if it was for health, they would wear it to class and not outside.
Thank you. That was the one thing I wanted to take away, other than the celebratory stuff, is to get to the bottom of how they whined and whined at the legislature, and they just hypocritical.
Yeah, completely.
Yes, and they don't like their pictures taken. And I was quite stealthy yesterday. I hid behind trees, I hid beside cars, and I got all their pictures without the mask on. I mean, and when I'm taking pictures, I've done so many times on campus and at the courthouse, etc. They act like I'm sneaking into their damn bathroom stall to invade their privacy. It's like, what? I'm sorry, guys. What is a publicity stunt without the publicity? You should be paying me. You're out here in the middle of it. You're clearly trying to make a statement. Why am I the problem? Because of that, baby.
Well, that, and we are here. They don't like it when you actually expose them.
Yes. I noticed that there was a particular UNC professor yesterday that locked her account down. Does that, Margot, that makes about the 10th one, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and it's funny because we've gotten to be really good at finding them on X, exposing them, but we don't say anything until we go to their CV on LinkedIn, where they're so proud of everything they're doing until you call them out, and then they lock their Twitter account.
Yeah, I mean we're at a public university in a public campus where anyone can come and go, and you can take photos of anyone that is here, anyone that is in the public eye. But as soon as you pull a camera out or try and take a photo, they run away like you pulled a gun out on them. You pull a phone out of your pocket, and it's unbelievable their reaction, that they are so scared to identify with the causes that they are supporting.
And they don't even know what they are.
Well, and it's great to me because I have to tell you, every time I see one of those pictures, I at Canary Mission every time. We're going to put them out there. We're going to find out who they are. We're going to make sure when they go look for a job, people know that they were out, protesting for violence and death, and that's just not acceptable in any society.
Yeah, I mean, they think they can hide, but I know almost all of them that they go to every protest, and the university does too. When they vandalize the ROTC building, they've been able to identify people that have had masks on, had umbrellas to try and block the cameras, and put out warrants for their arrests. It doesn't help if you have like a mask covering your face when you can get software that can like just look at your eyes and match it up with photos of you online.
And one tattoo, just one tattoo will give you away.
One tattoo. And if you cover up the tattoo, there was a guy that had a band on his arm to cover up a tattoo. Now this guy has a tattoo on his arm in this one spot. It doesn't matter if you cover it up or not.
Well, I'm very pleased. I want to end with this. I'm very pleased that they are prosecuting. They are prosecuting students. I noticed that Hot Wheels for Hamas, they came and took her phone and stuff. I mean, we've had people that, go down there with a cane, David, that say that they are, disabled, which is, sad. And then I see them, walking and running like hell and doing fine. So there's a lot of gimmicks, a lot of pranks, but the cops are on to it down there. They know they've got to protect Jewish students. Yesterday, they knew that one hair on the head of any student, because there are many Christians out there that was hurt, would not be good, and they took it seriously. And I am very proud of you, extremely proud of you. I mean, that we're unicorns, Jewish American conservatives. And so I love to see the next generation, not only a proud Jewish Republican, but out there working hard to protect free speech, right? And Second Amendment should be automatic.
And getting out the vote. You're getting out the vote. We love it. Make sure your aunts and uncles and everybody else you can think of sign up for Elon Musk PAC. We want to get you paid.
Yeah, of course. We're small, but a small, mighty group of Jewish conservatives. But I think many Jews in this country are waking up to the reality. Other minorities too. We've seen their percentages shift away from the Democratic Party as they realize what the Democratic Party has become, and especially with foreign policy towards Israel is like the major turning point for American Jews.
Yeah, absolutely. They're waking up. They're waking up in New York. They're waking up everywhere. And the fact that a young man like you is out there doing this, and your fraternity brothers, and it's, I have to tell you from our perspective, because we're not in your bubble, it's freaking amazing, and it gives us hope. And what we need now is hope in this country. So thank you. And we're going to do a convention. Yeah,
you were the frat boy summer. You were the frat boy summer, David.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad that I can give you some hope, and I hope that you two and everyone watching this takes that hope and gets involved where they can with political campaigns in their community, and really makes this election year a good one for the Republicans and conservatives across this country and on campus.
Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. And we're going to get the word out. We're going to get you some money, and we're going to get people signed up for free speech. But thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
David, do you have any social media you want people to follow you on, or you just fine as you are?
I don't have any public social media, but you can follow the Israel Cup, Tar Heels for Israel, just Heels for Israel as a tag, and College Republicans at our school is UNCGOP both on Instagram.
We will.
Okay. Thank you, David.
That was awesome.
That was so amazing.
It was.
And I have to tell you, I have to tell you, take hope. I mean, we've got, natural disasters. We've got political disasters, Tom Tillis and Chuck Edwards. we have a lot of disasters tonight to talk about, but talking about solutions is what we're going to talk about. But we're going to bring some other stuff up. So the question that we're always getting all the time, Western North Carolina, there are how many votes? 1.4 million votes?
Roughly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the good news, let's do the good and bad. We'll do good, bad, good. The good news is all of the election boards in Western North Carolina are open and fully functional now. And the other good news is the citizens of Western North Carolina are down to about 100, not quite 100,000 left to be hooked up on power. So at the same time we're working on politics, we're also working on making sure everybody's safe and they're getting their power back. So those are both good things, I think. Tonight, I guess I should say yesterday, there was a meeting with the North Carolina State Board of Elections, and they adopted some resolutions which may change the way voting is done in North Carolina. Because if they make these resolutions solidified through the legislative body here, it's not just for this instance. It would affect any natural disaster that could occur. So So they adopted some things that were good and some things I don't think are so good, but they can't do any of them until the legislatures meet tomorrow and decide that they like or don't like these things. Some of the things they suggested in their resolution is that you should be able to drop your ballot off at any county. Doesn't matter where you're at. You should just be able to drop your ballot off. So say, for instance, you live in Asheville, but you're not in Asheville because you've been displaced. You should be able to drop your ballot off here in Cherokee County, and my election board should have to work to secure your vote, which I don't think that's a great idea. Why don't you can vote early? One, you can vote by mail. You wanted to vote absentee or by mail, you can register and vote on the same day as long as it's early voting, or you can go back to, they're going to also, one of the things they're also going to do is some of the precinct sites are obviously not there. They're damaged. They may not have electricity or facilities. So they are going to have to make new precinct areas available. And because of their lack of internet, some people may not know where to actually go to get those to find out where their new precinct is. So you can either go to your Board of Elections and you can, vote there, or you can, find out on the website, if you have availability to internet, where the precinct is. So we kind of feel like this should be business as usual with very few changes. I think one of the things I really thought was positive is the ability for people to be poll watchers and poll observers and MAT team members across county lines. So normally you work within your county only for those positions, but because we know that we may not have enough of those people staffed in specific counties, they're going to allow us to what we call float. So that would mean that maybe they have enough poll workers in Cherokee County. I can go work in Henderson County and help them out as a MAT team member.
Okay.
So I think that's good.
Okay. And so we will be posting, along with others, opportunities to come in and to volunteer, because that's what everyone wants to know. They want to volunteer. They want to be of service. That's great. And believe me, we're going to do updates. We're going to do a phone bank. And so we're getting all of that together. As you know, Milton is about to have a direct freaking hit on Florida. I mean, I watched a weatherman cry tonight.
Yeah, I saw that.
So serious. First and foremost, life. I mean, we're concerned with that. We also happen to be near an election. So unfortunately, we're talking about things that we wish we could bifurcate what we're talking about here, but it's hard.
No, it's actually impossible. And it's so devastating because it's not just Florida, it's Georgia, it's East Tennessee, it's North Carolina, it's parts of Alabama, it's all the way up, into Virginia. This whole eastern seaboard, southeastern area is just getting smacked around. And, people from Florida have cabins here, so they're coming up here, in part of where we are actually a little secluded, but the expectation is that they will have like all their services back. And to be frank with you, not everyone here still has their internet service. We still don't have fully restored internet service. I'm fortunate because I had taken precautions, and I work in technology, so it makes it a little easier for me to have made sure that I had a backup plan, but not everybody does. And I think we really need to look at how we can help these folks in Western North Carolina. And one of the best things you can do is poll watching classes are still available. The North Carolina election integrity team will be putting on poll watching classes and teaching you what you need to know to be a poll observer or a poll watcher. And even poll judging classes are still available. I think they're available. They may extend those. Right now, I think it's through October 16th, but it looks like there will be an extension. If you want to help out Western North Carolinians, go take that class.
Get trained to be a poll judge, a poll worker, or even a greeter. For me, I don't like going in there, but we need greeters for early voting. We need, and a lot of times we're able to kind of explain within the law, how things work as a greeter. Right. And so there's a lot of opportunities you're looking to pitch in. And I promise you, we're going to be giving details about how to usefully plug into the system. Last thing we need are people going up there and just saying, I'm here.
No, and you won't be able to do that. We're going to be very controlled about who, how, and when, where, why, and how, why, and all that. But here's one position that is going to be really necessary and it requires a little more training than most. And that's called being a MAT team member. And that's a bipartisan team that goes out and helps people that are disabled or elderly. They may have challenges being able to leave their home. You will go on appointments with a Democrat. You'll read ballots. You'll help them write their X or their sign the ballot. All those kinds of things. Those we definitely know we need more of. And that's a specific skill set. You have to be willing to have patience. It's going to take all day. You may be in a nursing home. So if you're interested in doing that and you've never done it before, I highly encourage you to go check it out. MAT members on the North Carolina State Board of Elections website. And you can always DM me on X, or you can reach out to me on my personal email, and we'll be happy to get you set up with that.
Okay. Well, very good. So another thing that we have to deal with in this election cycle is election interference. Sadly, it's just a way of life. And it's happening. We told you about what I think is election interference, and that is politicians coming in and controlling the message, right? They're trying to silence people and say, nothing to see here. And they're doing it. Okay. They're doing it to cynically control the election when people actually, honest to goodness, need help. We blew up Michael Garrett of Guilford County yesterday. He said, this isn't the time for political scoring, as he put up a slam against Donald Trump. Total jackass. He said there's nothing to see and insinuated that the people of Western North Carolina were not telling the truth. False information going around. This is September 30th. I believe it was 4 or 5 days after Helene hit. Remember that last week?
I do. Absolutely. But the narrative's been, it's also been propagated further by others. And now it's to the point that they're really trying to change the speech patterns.
Well. Tom with an H, Tillis with a $. He, for reasons unknown, has gone over and above to inject himself into this election and to try to harm Trump inexplicably. I'm going to show you how, and I'm going to put up maybe a theory why we can consider. So he's been, get this, since Friday, Margot, Tom Tillis has been used thrice for Kamala Harris's campaign.
Well, and we Republicans are that's not shocking to us. That's why we censured him, because he's a flip-flopper.
Well, you could be a flip-flopper, but if you're a useful idiot in Kamala's Marxist revolution. So this is just one example. I'm going to show you a couple more. And I mean, this is just hilarious. Kamala uses him as a useful idiot, as we've been warning would happen. Talking about misinformation is exactly the wrong thing to talk about. That is not something that's a big deal, right? And he's like, I was talking to you. Here's the thing. These politicians and some media, and I'm talking to you Republicans, why? Because during an election cycle, when you give Democrats a half an inch, they'll take 100 freaking miles.
And they are.
They are. If misinformation, which is free speech, right? In the flow of all information, conspiracy theories and wrong think will fall.
Well,
But
here's the thing. Are they
there's
really conspiracy? We've every one of the ones we put out. I know I'm not into that lithium mine thing or the weather thing. I don't care about either of those. But they're trying to tell us that what people on the ground saw with FEMA not being there is a conspiracy theory, and that is not true.
Yeah, I'm going to go over that because when you're saying misinformation, they're going to take it and run with it. But look, the thesis is from some journalists and these politicians is that misinformation is going to harm the rescue effort. You cannot put a restraint on speech like that. If you have a concrete example of it actually hurting speech, then that's something. You can't give an example. You can't give any proof. You're just trying to shut everybody the hell up. And we've got Republicans that are doing that. And I think it's sickening, absolutely sickening. And we're going to have to call it out because it is election interference. And you may say, well, Sloan, people don't have to listen to him. This guy.
Trump claimed the federal response in North Carolina was terrible and emergency funding is being spent on immigrants. Do you know what he's talking about?
Well, here, let's stipulate the fact that I think that the president is right to say that billions of dollars is being spent as a result of Biden's failed immigration policies and border policies. However, we have the resources that we need. We're going to have to go back and pass more resources. We can have a discussion about the failure of this administration's border policies and the billions of dollars it's costing. But right now, not yet is it affecting the flow of resources to Western North Carolina.
It is not an effect.
That's called election interference. The guy is everywhere trying to step on Trump. He will not admit that FEMA, gave, what is it, millions, billions, millions?
Yeah.
Billions.
Between illegal immigrant, between FEMA and the Department of Defense, I mean.
We know that we have the proof. I showed it last week. He's denying that. He's saying that all of us are liars.
Well, it's not just that he's saying that we're liars. He's like playing that game where squirrel, like, go look over there. We don't want you talking about this. And I do not appreciate that from my own state senator, from my own congressman, who all, by the way, are big buddies with Tom Tillis. I don't appreciate treating voters like we don't have the common sense to see what is under our nose. We literally have seen this happen. Why do we have FEMA employees at the Cherokee Harris Casino, not in the middle of Asheville, which is an hour and a half to 2 hours away?
Right.
And you're
we
telling
reported that
me
last week, and you're
Right.
sitting up here saying everything's fine, nothing to see, which pisses me off. But see, Tom Tillis has always been, all of his enemies are situated right here in North Carolina. They always are. Remember this conspiracy theory?
Is this a lie?
I think it's bull. I was down there and I saw maybe a few tourists, a few people who got caught up in things. But when you see police barricades breached, when you see police officers assaulted, all of that, or you had to be in close proximity to it. If you were just a tourist, you should have probably lined up at the visitor center and came in on an orderly basis.
So everyone should have gone to a tourist center that wasn't involved. Again, this guy inserts himself into every situation. And the problem here is we are less than 30 days from an election, and Democrats are taking everything that this a-hole says and running with it.
And he's not up for election. So what he does is hurt every other Republican.
And he's trying. He's desperately. It does beg the question why, and we're going to throw out a couple of theories. But this is also funny. I mean, it would be funny if it weren't so perverse. Tom Tillis is angry that Harris accurately quoted.
which he gave her the opportunity to do. And we predicted she would do it when he first put it out. But, here's the thing that really, it's Tom Tillis is a problem in and of himself. He's already failed and will lose whatever election he runs for next. And it's rumored that it will be for the governor of the state of North Carolina, which that big joke. He's not. But here's the thing that bothers me. He has his merry gang of men who he's literally talked into passing on the charade with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of them, actually, here he is. FEMA's doing great, right? And actually, there's a Democrat lunatic who's making comments. We blew her up. A liar. This Tricia Tiller Johnson, which we've been tracking, an utter liar who's on here, a complete loser as well. And when you're Tom Tillis, when you're actually tracking with a Democrat loser, political operative, a total loser, you have problems, right? You have absolute problems. Here's the truth: what the government's doing, sending electric chainsaws when they don't have any power.
And that literally is verified today by the Cajun Navy. They actually told us that really happened.
Yeah. Oh, guys, if you're on, by the way, if you're on here, hit up Tricia Tiller Johnson. Hit her up. Yeah. See what she's doing. We hit her up the other night. See what she's doing. And if you find her in person, find out if she's going and doing ballot harvesting. This is who she is. Okay.
I'm kind of confused by her comment.
Yeah. Go look at her and make sure she's in CD11. Make sure of that, because she has been trying to disenfranchise the people that are crying out for help in Western North Carolina. She's working against.
She's whining about her hair, Sloan. She can't get her hair done.
Well, she's an idiot.
I can't help it that I'm in Western North Carolina and my county wasn't affected. I have, however, put every bit of Starlink up that you're using, Tricia.
Right. So this is one of the worst political operatives we've seen in Western North Carolina, trying to take rights away from people. Again, hit her up. Hit her up. She calls herself a middle-aged mom. Whatever the hell she is, hit her up. Okay. So this is another one, lives of TikTok. By the way, how many times have we heard this now? Into the hundreds?
Oh, yeah. Plenty of videos, plenty of people. TikTok is covered up in videos of people with tragic stories. Graham Allen was over in Batcave today talking about how the road had collapsed and the church was on the hill, but there was no way to get to it. And they were actually literally using a rubber raft between two sides to get supplies across.
Yeah. And people, the important thing is people are proffering evidence as they're making this case. It's one thing to say these things. It's another to proffer evidence with your, video camera, which we all do very well. Evidence is king. And so it's not as though they're just throwing these things out there. We've heard a lot of them. So look, the General Assembly, as you intimated earlier, they're getting in tomorrow. They're going to be doing some things. One of those things is a bipartisan effort to give relief to Helene. We had a rainy day fund, and I think it's important that not only at the federal level, but the state level, there's an effort to get immediate relief, a bolus of relief to make sure that it's distributed efficiently.
Yeah, I think the biggest concern is going to be, just the magnitude of this is not going to be one rainy day fund's worth. We know for a fact Asheville has a water issue. They will not have water probably before the election at all that they could drink. And we know that we don't even know the scale of the devastation in some of these outlying areas. We know, there's going to be a lot of roads and bridges and things that infrastructure wise that have to be done. But first and foremost, we have to connect back up with communication that is, timely and effective to be able to give out the details.
Right. And a lot of FEMA, I saw an interview with two sheriffs today. I think one from Hendersonville and another one. And they said, look, I mean, there's some practical considerations that are being overlooked here at the federal government level, which is easy to do. I mean, if you're, from a big level, but one of them is you're telling people to get online and make, claims, if you will, from FEMA. We don't have power. We don't have electricity. We don't have internet. And so these things are unreasonable, which means people on the micro level, people who are from there, they're the ones who are going to have to get out and help and facilitate these things, perhaps in writing if necessary.
Well, I did notice today FEMA came out with a notice that unemployment benefits that you may need because you've lost your job due to this disaster, you have to have your claims in for those by December the 2nd. I was sitting there reading that going, wow, some people may, first of all, never see this because it's on the internet. And secondly, have no way to do this or know to do this.
Right. I mean, we're definitely going to need some boots on the ground and some people, to your point, who are very patient, because you're dealing with a lot of people that, I mean, there's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of post-traumatic stress that goes into this. This isn't just like a thing where they're the same as they were. And so we're going to need, I mean, this is a months or a years long process in dealing with all of this recovery. But the great news is we're great people. And we've got a volunteer soul.
Yeah. And the people have shown that they're going to come together and help each other.
Yeah, we really are. And we're not going to stop. But again, the last thing we want is when people are airing legitimate grievances, and again, that are proffering evidence along with that. If you're going to try to shut them up, just like what happened with COVID, you're going to make enemies of us. And that doesn't really work out well.
No, it does not. Especially, when we can call you out for it.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to say that as a consultant, when I see things like what Tillis is doing, he's not alone. Chuck Edwards is doing it, and others. It's
Kevin Corbin
is doing it. It's, as a Republican, it's schizophrenic and it's stupid, and it may be a good time for you to change your consultant. By the way, I'd like to point out right now that I think as a female, probably one of the most winningest consultants in the state of North Carolina, and I'm not a good old boy. And I guess sometimes women, we just have a hunch about things, but I'm not going to go on hunch, Margot. I'm going to go on real data. What I'm going to say is the public trust in government over the last, since 1960, is in the shitter. So if you're out there arguing, hey, nothing to see, government's doing great, it's not in keeping with the pulse of people at all. Look, trust in government right now is 22%, and in the federal government, it was about the same. It was 27%. So roughly the same with Trump. So people are starting to trust the government less and less. Get this, in 1960, 73% of people, the American body politic, trusted the government.
And what's really funny about that statistic, starting with Eisenhower, is he's the one who said, beware the industrial complex, military complex. And here we are.
Yeah, exactly. And so this shows exactly what we would think. During the Trump administration, Republicans, we're biased to think, hey, the government's doing great, right? We're biased to defend the government, especially during an election time. So I'm sure that we would be out there, much like the Democrats, articulating, hey, I hope we wouldn't say there's nothing to see here.
No, there's a lot to see here. It's really, really funny when you can really, oh man, did I just get knocked off?
No, I see you here.
I don't see you. Hold on. Let's see what happened. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. You're good. So, I mean, this is pretty, I mean, this is calling balls and strikes, but it looks like right now, as of today, when you're talking about, again, if you are a Republican, Tom Tillis, you're not even running, but for those Republicans that are running, that are saying, hey, nothing to see here, you're doing great, dude. Your base says 11% of your damn base says that they don't trust the government. Why are you out here mismatching?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, as I was going to point out before, I don't know what happened, it's glitchy, and that it's happened all day, how George Bush had the big uptick during 9/11, which he used his advantage to pass, the Patriot Act, and now we're suffering for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, exactly. A lot of that's right. It really shook, Republicans. This has been a bipartisan thing. I want to share this. We don't trust the government, probably less because of what Democrats do, and more because of what our own politicians do.
Correct. I totally agree with that. Yeah, now it's more, let's read and research and get into the nitty gritty, because as I've said, and I'll say this out loud again, just in our local elections in North Carolina, I am not for one minute do I believe that stuff that went on with Mark Robinson didn't start with Republicans. I will say that with my whole heart. I cannot prove it, but I believe it started there.
Right. So, I mean, look, we're calling balls and strikes as we do. Okay. And so, based on party ideology, just overall. And again, if you are Tom Tillis or a Republican out here shilling for the government, the one issue, right, that we hate is you're talking over the people and you're erasing the experiences on the ground, foremost. But as a practical matter, you're out of sync with your base, dude. Okay. So when you're taking independents that we have a lot of that are conservative, Republican leaning, 7%.
That's nuts.
And we have a lot of independents, 7%. So if you're out there trying to help people get elected, Tom Tillis, you're speaking.
You're shooting yourself in the foot, buddy.
You're shooting us in the foot, and that's why we're mad as hell. Trust in government. This is a great one. Okay, by race, right? It should come as no surprise that if you are Black in this country, your trust is low. Although under Biden, it's 27%. Under Trump, during the era of Black Lives Matter, et cetera, it was 9%.
They loved Obama there for a minute, though, didn't they?
I mean, he did very well.
And Clinton did well under, it looks like, as well.
Yeah, Clinton. I mean, look, Clinton, had a great bipartisan policy.
My mom loved Clinton, and she was a Republican.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was a Democrat. I voted for Clinton, and I voted for Gore. So, look, but if you are white, and this would right now, if you're white and you're trusting government overall, it's 19%, and that may also, if the demographics in WNC are that way, it just kind of shows you.
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah, and so all this is to say is that this isn't Sloan and Margot out here saying, "Oh, okay, don't trust the government." People in the damn country.
Well, and today a study came out where they had actually done, and I'll send it to you, Sloan, so we can talk about it later. They did a study on young children that got vaccinated versus who didn't, and 0 kids that were unvaccinated had pericarditis or myocarditis. And that is the most sad thing I have ever heard, because we were castigated, we were treated like leopards, we were treated like all these things, and now to turn around and find out the children were affected, and the conspiracy theorists were right.
And people and children died, and their health was imperiled. It's also a conspiracy theory to think that there's only 2 genders. It's also a conspiracy theory that thinking giving puberty blockers, which has a black box warning on them, will help improve mental health for a 9-year-old that they're doing it do. That's a conspiracy theory. Look, when you can tag something misinformation or conspiracy theory, it stifles conversation.
And I believe that they thought they were going to get away with that, really starting with COVID, like heavy. And they continue to propagate the lie that we are spreading disinformation or misinformation. And that's their way of saying, shut up.
Right. And you saw that out of the White House. So
absolutely.
By the way, this Trisha Tiller Johnson, if you guys are following, please do. She's going to need some mental health help.
She needs her meds.
She's cray. Okay. So among the myths, I mean, this is just WRAL riffing. I mean, every single thing is Hurricane Helene was non-engineered, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it is a myth. When you're doing rescue and recovery, who gives a shit? And oh, by the way, why don't you point out the conspiracy theories on college campuses that are retailed by professors every day that I can show a direct link to violence? You can't show a direct link between these crazy stories and someone not being helped. Maybe you can show it.
Well, no, but you can show a direct link from the crazy stories to more hate against the politicians, which is what they're scared of.
You're right. It's all propping up power, and I don't care what party you're in. So I'm going to get to your favorite, and I hope you don't get triggered.
I might get triggered. I just tell you I might. Chuck Edwards, for those of you that don't know, is the West. Pardon me?
You've been on a bender today.
Oh, well, listen, let me tell you why, Sloan. And I really, this is passion for me. It really is. This guy got elected to represent the North Carolina District 11. That encompasses almost all the counties that were affected in this tragedy. Not just part of them, almost all of them. And he thinks it's funny to say things about his constituents who some are never going to go home. Some didn't make it through. They died. Some will never have what they had before. But you know what they never got that they all wanted during COVID was Starlink. You know what happened? He didn't go back and advocate and say, hey, look, I have a district of people that are very rural. Some of them don't even have wireline phone service to call 911. They can't even call because they're in the backwoods and say, hey, there's a forest fire. And he thought that picture was funny. It is not funny to me.
So what he's doing, basically, I mean, I'm going to read a lot into it. I'm going to take some liberty here. He's saying, listen, dumbasses, for all of you that are saying, look, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to translate. For all of you yahoos or whatever that are saying that Starlinks are being stolen, here's me trying to wrestle one out of a strapping FEMA agent's arm. And, well, golly, I can't even do it. Why are you joking? Why are you talking about misinformation when we're trying to recover people who
Well, that picture's misinformation. That picture's supposed to be funny, and it's not. And the stance of the picture is misinformation. He's acting like it's being stolen. He's propagating the same thing he's saying isn't happening. I mean, the whole thing is just ridiculous to me. But more ridiculous than anything is there are still people in this county that have never, ever had a wired service connection or wireless service connections. And the government, has never done anything to help them.
Right. And he thinks this is funny. And I don't think there's anything more sickening than, by the way, having a politician take credit for the charity of business owners who are giving during this time, like Elon Musk, and taking credit for people like you and others who are volunteering their time. I read into it that he's kind of giving the federal government credit for all the stuff that you guys have been doing on the ground. That's sickening.
The one other piece of it that bothers me is if you can get Starlink for us now, why couldn't you get it for us before? Like, you're really happy to brag about it, lie about it, but you couldn't do it in the past.
Yeah. This is an update. Radio is being delivered to the mountain communities. Good. I mean, this is great. I mean, the real story of this.
She's talking about ham radios. That's Steph. Thank you, Steph. I follow her. So that's a miraculous story.
Yeah, of people helping people. And I think the thing that's irritating us is that the government is injecting themselves in a great American story, right? Well, it's Democrats, Republican. It's
no, they want to be the hero, and they're the zero. They're just not going to be the hero in this. You know, ham radio operators, which was Steph was talking about, that are now getting ham radios. You know, Starlink. You know, the people on the ground who had satellite phones, because there's a lot of recon guys from the military that never get rid of that stuff. And they've gone out and tagged bodies. And I'm not joking. I know people that have done that and Geo pointed where they were so somebody could go and get them. Like, there are people that really want to help in the most effective way they can. But it isn't the government, because the government's not here to save you.
No. And we won't tolerate the whitewashing. Now, I'm going to tell you some well-researched and well-founded things. So again, getting back to Tillis, which I believe is interfering with the election. And he's trying desperately. So it's worth saying. His key backer is number one backer. I mean, he's a Wall Street guy. He's second in line to McConnell, right? I mean, he's one of his main guys. He's a Wall Street guy. This is not BlackRock. Blackstone. I want to make it very clear. BlackRock is a totally different company. Blackstone is another one. And when I tell you what they specialize in, you might be mad. Okay. I'm connecting dots. I'm not sure if it's all the way connected, but this is the truth. Blackstone is the number one organization or number one company in America that they are private equity, and they go and they buy homes all over America, and they rent to own. So, you will own nothing.
Yeah.
The number one. So I just want you to be aware of that. Is it connected? I don't know, but I want you to know about this.
So Sloan, what you're telling me is that that's his number one fund where he gets his money for funding for his campaigns.
10,000%. And
wow.
Yeah. And this is the biggest one, and it's called the American House Partners of America. Here's the program, the way it works. I invite you to look it out. Oh, Tillis is in league with Lindsey Graham in more ways than one. So they want to own all of these homes. Now, I'm not saying, and I don't believe that there's any land stealing. I don't believe it. I have no evidence for it. Look at this stuff.
Was that in North Carolina? Do I see a little thing in North Carolina on that map? I do.
You do. You see it in Charlotte. Ding, ding, ding. Roughly 4,000 units in Charlotte and growing. You see it in Raleigh, Cary, and other places.
Wow.
And if you're getting, and again, I'm not making any allegations. We're going to let time go on. But I wonder if FEMA can contract with these companies, and maybe he's kissing FEMA's ass because he wants to contract with them. We don't know. But the fact that real estate, this type of real estate where big, wealthy hedge fund people are buying up property. Let me read this.
Wait, I have to say one thing for you. When you said that, the one thing I thought of is, I wonder if there's any illegals in those houses. Because if they're renting, how do you know if they're citizens or not? Just thought.
Interesting. Well, and listen, they're going into a foray of mega apartment buildings as well. So you may have a point. But look, let's just say that you've got a town of a small town. Let's just say 30,000 people, right? And then you own, and there's 20,000 homes, and you own 5,000 of them. The political power that you have as a hedge fund owner, whether it's municipal or state, you have more power than the people.
Right.
You own more property.
Well, I'm just in my head going through what you're talking about. And in my head, I'm like thinking, you're the one telling us that they had enough money for FEMA to help us and also to help illegals. But you're also being funded by a group that could easily have been housing illegals with government money, possibly.
I'm connecting the dots. Blackstone. It's not BlackRock. Okay, so I want to be very clear. It's not BlackRock. It's Blackstone. I invite you to do your own research. Please do. That's who we're talking about here, and they are now the biggest in this, and it really scares the hell out of me. They are the top player in the housing market. That's scary.
What are the numbers? Does it say, Sloan? We'll have to get into that deeper later. Because you know what? Now I just want to find out how they have hooks in the government, because they do, and they do.
Well, if somebody's willing for the government, and it makes no sense. I just showed you, Margaret. It makes no sense being a Republican when you are going against your base and you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're doing that because somebody's pulling your damn strings.
Well, I have a couple of things I'm thinking about out loud. First of all, are they housing illegals? Secondly, what kind of mortgage interest rates are they getting compared to the average consumer? Thirdly, where are they?
They're renting.
I know, but still they have to buy. They have to buy the units. So what are they getting for their buy rate for those mortgages? Because they're probably getting a better rate than any other person. Who are they going through to get that? What bank are they working with? I have a lot of questions. Can you tell my
banking is number 3. So Bank of America and Wells Fargo is another one that props him up. So he's got the hot dog and the bun, and that's who supports him. He is a Wall Street puppet, and I think that he is under the misguided conclusion that he can win his primary because it does matter. He can win his primary with just money. That dog won't hunt anymore.
Oh, can I just go on the record as saying, from this day forward, we will be in your business, like your mama wasn't in your business. And if we find the dirt, just like Bill Graham, I'm sure didn't find the dirt on Mark Robinson, but we will.
Yeah.
And if we do find the dirt, Tom Tillis, I'll leave my Republican card on the table and help somebody beat you.
Yep. I would rather have Fetterman than Tom Tillis.
I don't know about that. Thank God he's not in North Carolina.
Well,
but he is more ethical.
With some of the bills, he's more worker focused as well. I don't get I would rather have obviously a Republican, but yeah, this guy's not a man of the people. And the reason why we bring it up is because we think it's shameless that the people that are actually injecting themselves into the politics are people from North Carolina that are Republicans and should know better because they're a useful idiot for the Democrats. So, but again, this is a story of Americans helping other Americans, and we have got to make sure that everyone has the right to vote.
Well, it's not just the right to vote. You have the right to speak your mind. And it is shameful for these gentlemen to be, one from North Carolina and two of you to be from Western North Carolina, which is impacted. And you want to perpetrate this fraud on us to make us feel like we're not allowed to speak. You're going to try to make me feel guilty for talking about what I think and what I feel and what I see. It's not just what I think and what I feel. It's factual.
Yeah. Well, again, their thesis is that this misinformation is hindering recovery ability. Prove it. I'm serious. Prove it. You know, I'm Jewish. I'm not allowed to say, unfortunately, this speech, well, now I am. This speech causes violence. Now I am. But a year ago, before October 7th, I'm not able to. There's no direct line. So, you know, this just like they did with COVID, this misinformation is causing people to die. I'm open to proof. Give it to me.
I totally agree with you. I think it's a good note to end on, to say that, look, Western North Carolina is coming back strong already. It's going to be a long, hard road, but just the fact that these people are getting power back, the fact that they're being able to go back, some of them are going back in their homes and checking things out. It's likely that some people will never, a lot of people will never go home, but we have shown a perseverance, a spirit of perseverance and love for one another that transcends, you know, color, it transcends party, it transcends religion. And I think that's a high note to end on. And I think that people need to know we're all in it together. I don't care what you have to say. It may be hate speech in your mind, but it's free speech in my mind.
Well, of course, and that's the American way. It's un-American to behave this way. And I want everyone to pray for Milton. I believe it's going to make landfall tomorrow evening. That's Wednesday evening. We'll be back on the air on Thursday. And updating you. You know, the General Assembly gets in tomorrow. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of updates. Please follow me at Sloan Rockmouth on Twitter. That's my main communication channel. Margot, it's just like you see. That's her handle, right?
That's my handle on TikTok. My handle on X is Margot in WNC. I just didn't put them both up.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll have voting updates, etc. Guys, we have to stay strong. We have to stay focused and informed. Yeah.
We're in the home stretch, folks. We got to stay focused.
That's right. Well, have a good evening. We'll see you Thursday night. Please share this with 10 people.